To today's episode of Live Healthy Now. Today I'm joined by another guest in our February mini-series who's telling us a bit about a story and how she's come back from living a pretty healthy lifestyle, going through a pregnancy and then rebuilding those healthy habits to help herself feel better once again. And as part of this February series, I really wanted to bring you real people. So today I've got a friend of mine, Victoria Himsworth, who's joining to share her real story to help inspire you to see how, we're all ordinary, normal people, sometimes struggling with different things in our lives, and yet we can navigate a way to build a healthy lifestyle and healthy habits with just small steps. So welcome, Victoria.
Hiya, nice to see you.
Yeah. I know we don't often see each other, do we? We chat on our WhatsApp group, but it's nice to have a little insight into each other's worlds. So I know you're taking a bit of a lunch break to record this, so thank you for sparing the time. So with all of our guests, I start off by asking them what their most impactful healthy habit is, if you'd like to share yours.
Most impactful healthy habit? I think the gym. Like, I really love going to my 6 o'clock gym class, and the thought of doing the 6 o'clock gym class at the start was absolutely like horrendous. 5:30 start, go and do it an hour, but absolutely thrive off it now. I do 2 a week at 6 o'clock till 7, and I've only ever cancelled one due to feeling unwell, because I actually just love it, and I've been doing that since June last year. And it just really keeps us motivated. I get it done before my crazy day starts, and just like love it. Yeah.
And I will add there, that's AM, not PM. So that's why Victoria's a bit of a hero. And we'll come on to this because I think, this class and starting back to exercise after having Georgia, which we'll come on to, has been something that's been a bit of a lifesaver for you, really, hasn't it? As you say. Yeah. Needing to work out is something that's very much a part of who you are. So just to kind of share a little bit about your story, obviously we've worked together for a long time. We both used to work at Nike, and you had Georgia on the eve of lockdown number one. So huge change for everyone in the UK, and the beginning of a very different maternity leave to the one that you planned. But up until that point, you were someone that worked out regularly, even through pregnancy. You used to do the classes that we had on at lunchtime at work, didn't you? And that was just something that you enjoyed.
So through my pregnancy, I wanted to stay fit and healthy. Like, obviously, it's easy to just eat and put on weight, and, I didn't want that. And I think with Nike, we were really fortunate to have those classes at lunchtime, and I just utilised that. And obviously, keeping the pregnancy a secret for the first few months is difficult. And once it was known, it was like everyone encouraged us to come along, and obviously just took it a bit easier. But up until the day we had to leave due to coronavirus, I was exercising at least 4 times a week. So that just kept us going, and it really helped us because, one, I didn't put on a horrendous amount of weight during pregnancy, but it meant that once I had Georgia, that I was still in that mentality of exercising, and obviously what I thought was going to be I could still go to the gym and stuff, but that obviously changed. But
yeah, and so the lockdown for lots of people completely changed their lifestyle. And for a lot of people, being allowed to go outside once a day was something that meant being kind of active and mobile much more than what they usually were. So for lots of people, it was actually the first time that they built regular exercise into their lifestyle. But for a lot of other people, it was a case of being inside. And, if you were someone that went to the gym, obviously there was a mad rush for gym equipment, and dumbbells, etc., went up ridiculously in price. And then, like many other things, there was no availability of anything to buy. But for yourself, having Georgia on the eve of lockdown and then navigating a brand new baby, which for lots of people means sleepless nights and exhaustion and, other challenges that come with that adjustment from being someone who can do whatever they want to suddenly having this new baby to care for, and then not having access, as you say, you know, to get support from family to help with, you know, having time for yourself as well as just support with the baby. Like, how was that? What impact did that have on kind of your health and wellness?
Yeah, it was so tough because I went into the whole, I got my baby shower, I had the whole, like, pregnancy as normal. And like you say, when George was born, like, lockdown hit, and it just meant, like, all these plans I kind of had in my head of, like, my mum, I'll have her, I'll go to the gym, I'll get out with my friends for walks, we'll go for coffees. And that just kind of, like, obviously ended, like, then. And then I just got obsessed with the news. Like, I was obsessed with, like, when we're coming out of lockdown, when can I get back to normal? Like, when can my mum meet Georgia? Like, I like literally had the news on, like, all day. And I was like, it was like driving us a bit crazy. I did go out for my daily walk, and then I actually had an emergency cesarean, so it meant, like, I couldn't exercise for a while. So when I could go out and do, like, at least, like, 10, 15 minutes walks, I used to go out with the pram. But then, like, my husband, like, fortunately, but he was working from home. So on lunchtimes, once I could exercise, he started taking Georgia for half an hour while I did, like, a Joe Wick. So I had downloaded the Peloton, like, app to do, like, the classes there. So I was doing, like, 20 minutes, like, HIIT, or 30 minutes HIIT every few days a week, and getting out for walks. But it just wasn't the maternity leave I had planned, and it really, really, like, got us down. And it was tough, because although it was, like, lovely to have a little family together and we're in this little bubble, it was, like, hard because I'd never got a break from it, apart from that 30 minutes over lunch when Laurie would take her. It was tough. But I did try and, like, exercise, like, to a degree through that as well. So just making sure that I was, like, having a little bit of time for myself.
Yeah, and I think what you touched on there about the news and the mindset piece is something that I talk a lot about, to try to get people to understand the role it plays in how well and happy you are, because people focus on activities like working out or walking, or food is a huge one, obviously, that people think about when they think about being healthier. But the way that you are mentally is a huge thing, and I know that's something you wanted to talk about today as well, because, you know, as a new parent, not just a mum, I think for any new parent it's really hard, but especially as a mother, like you said, when you've had a cesarean, and it's a big physical change and recovery process you've got to go through. But then when you didn't have the support network because of COVID, and like you say, the news, you know, was something a lot of people watched continuously. I don't think I've ever watched as much on the news as I did then, you know, waiting for those 6 o'clock live briefings.
Yeah, I was, like, obsessed.
But yeah, the damage that it was doing to us mentally, we didn't understand. And so I've certainly changed, and I'd very, very rarely watch the TV anyway, except for something on Netflix now and again. But I stopped using news apps about 4 months ago, and I can honestly say it's had a massive change in my mental well-being. And at times it's hard because I've missed something, you know, somebody mentioned something on social media or in person, and I go, oh no, I didn't know about that. So I do try to have, like, once a week where I just have a little bit of a look around online, but I don't use any news apps, I don't get any alerts. And so I think, you found that something that, you know, because you were fixated on when will normality resume, and waiting for that point so that you could go back to the old Victoria pre-having George, you know, like the way that you lived your life with freedom of choice, I guess.
It was just like, I was like, I think it was it like the 4th of July? I don't know if it was the 4th of July or, like, round then, when we could, like, book a restaurant. I was like, right, I'm out, I'm going out, taking Georgia with us, because I wanted Georgia to, like, experience a normal life. I wanted her to, like, get used to being out with people, and she had, like, 4 months of just being with me, Laurie, and then obviously we could mingle with my mum and stuff once the bubbles came, but it was just minimal contact with humans. And like being like the first time I took her inside to a restaurant, she was like a couple months old, which I had every intention of being out the next day to a coffee shop with her. Do you know what I mean? Like just to take my newborn out and show her off, and I never got the chance to, so I took every opportunity once lockdown lifted to like try and get a bit of my maternity back.
Yeah. And I know, obviously I know you, so I know how you are. That's something which is important to you, isn't it? Is the social side. And something Victoria does, which she can share, is she does a food guide for Newcastle. So most people listening probably know either who we are or our accents that we're here in the northeast. And so Victoria had set up the food. Did you set it up during COVID?
Yeah, I set it up.
Maternity.
I think I'd set it up in the June before we got out of lockdown, just about I started it doing like takeaways and, you know, where I had been pre-COVID and hoping that I could get back to those places. So yeah, I've always loved eating out. I've always took pictures of food and everything. So I was like, right, I haven't got anything to keep busy with apart from the odd thing I could do during lockdown. So I set up, my Geordie food guide on Instagram and just took up from there, and I've been doing it nearly 3 years now. So
God, I know, I can't believe it's that long. And that's something which I wanted to talk about, because as I said, a lot of people focus on what they eat when they think about health, and they think they've got to restrict and deprive themselves. And you're someone that does think about their weight. You're someone who, like me, you know, over years has had to manage their weight to feel the way you want to feel. But I think you're in a place now where you're much more comfortable with who you are and the way healthy living really is. And this side of kind of who you are with meeting new people, going out to different restaurants, or even the takeaways and cook at home options and things, you know, these businesses now do on the back of COVID. That's something that you find really helps you with your well-being, doesn't it? Like that whole having a hobby and an interest and that time for you.
I mean, I've met some amazing people doing my food blog. They just people who have been there to support us through like COVID, and just someone else to chat to who's got a similar interest. So like I've been obviously invited to restaurants, and like through COVID I got sent like takeaways and like lots of brownies. But I have to obviously like watch what I eat, and when I know I've got something planned, I'm obviously eating healthy around that. So I have my overnight oats, my lunches are very like protein and chicken and eggs and stuff, and homemade soups. And then when I'm not out, I eat really healthy on an evening. Like I make like chilies and homemade stuff. But when I do eat out, I enjoy eating out, and I like to have a glass of wine with it, and I like to enjoy what the restaurants are offering us. And I think that's the balance I've got is, you know, I can't go out every night. I've obviously got Georgia as well to think about, but where I can bring her with us, the restaurants absolutely love us when I bring her to it, and it's getting her eating different foods. It's getting her used to this like restaurant environment, being out, how to like, you know, she's nearly 3. She's a tinker. She's naughty, but it's getting her used to like sit down in a restaurant, having a meal, not just like, you know, sitting at home having whatever I'm cooking. So, and obviously she likes chicken and chips, which every child does. But try and get her eating, you know, I make like nasi goreng or jambalayas, and she likes those rice dishes. So she's like really involved in the cooking of that and watches us cook. So there's just a balance between doing my Geordie food guide, where I eat and drink out a lot, and doing the balanced meals at home. So plus the exercise, I've got to do the exercise, because as much as I go to the gym twice a week or 3 times where I can, I do like a Joe Wicks or a Juice and Toya, you know, the YouTube channels through the week, and I've got my kettlebells and dumbbells. So if I do 2 of those a week and at least 2 of my classes, I've obviously got a dog now as well, so I'm out for dog walks quite a lot. So all of that combined, like, I just think, well, yeah, I can eat out and drink out because I've got the rest of my life balanced in that sense.
Yeah, that's really good. And I know you've struggled when you went back to work full-time, now being full-time based at home, like a lot of people post-COVID, or some people might have a hybrid working model. Yeah. You're full-time at home with a young baby. I mean, she's coming up to 3, but we're still calling babies really that age. Yeah. A puppy, which you got only a few months ago, a husband who often works at home as well. And you've had some problems with George's health, which have massively impacted yours and Laurie's lives in every way. So all of that is a big juggle, isn't it? And I know it's something, there was kind of, for quite a few months, or even longer really, over the last couple of years, you've had to kind of pause the focus on you and your health. But then you have managed to pick that up. And that was what I really wanted to try and like delve into a bit, is, you know, you could have easily stayed in that downward spiral of, well, I just don't have time. We have got too many demands on us as a family. I just can't do it anymore. But you knew, because of the way you felt before having Georgia, how taking care of yourself felt. Is that something that you've found has helped your motivation to get back into those healthy habits of working out and eating well? Yeah,
I think, like, I mean, we had a tough year when we got made redundant from Nike. So obviously 2021, we all got told we're being made redundant. So that obviously took like a massive like lull on us all, like affected mental health. Like, I was like, what am I going to do? And I felt like 2021, that was the only problem I was going to have. And then obviously, like you've just said, Georgia's health took a bit of a turn for the worse when she got cancer in the June. So we obviously lived at the RVI nearly 4 months that year. So I was being made redundant, handing over my work, sitting on a hospital bed and trying to look after a child in a hospital bed. And myself and Laurie swapped every day. So we slept at the hospital every other night. So I know I've spoke to you about this in the past. The first few weeks, I was like shell shocked, and I stopped like eating like properly, getting a delivery maybe once a day to the RVI, because I just obviously couldn't bear going home to cook, or like obviously then it was going home to be by myself. And I just one day just sitting on the bed trying to feed Georgia some food, and I was shaking, like absolutely shaking, because I just hadn't fueled myself enough. And that minute of that day, I just went, I need to look after myself, because how am I going to look after Georgia in hospital, not looking after myself? Like, I sometimes would come home and my tea would be a glass of wine. That would just be my tea. And going from somebody who exercised and ate well and ate out and did all this and almost like nearly got my life back to normal in 2021, to like then go back into this dark place. And it was obviously then Laurie like was finding things really tough, and he stopped working. I was doing like the bare minimum, handing over my job, which was fine at the time. But with food and like I didn't obviously excessively drink, but having a glass of wine for tea instead of a healthy meal isn't like the right thing to do, and I know that now, but at the time it was the thing that helped us get to sleep at night. And we ended up getting like I started doing my overnight oats. So I made the overnight oats for the week, so me and Laurie would bring that to the hospital with the coffee, and then we got like a meal prep. Like, so I was just like Googling, like on my Instagram, finding the best meal preps that we could get. So we were eating like a healthy, balanced meal that we could just put in the microwave at the hospital, and none of us had to go home and cook. So we started doing that, and we got that for a few weeks, and in like just to try and get ourselves better. I mean, obviously the exercise just took a complete nosedive. Didn't exercise much for those few months, but at least I got me like eating back to like a regular healthy routine. Obviously had the odd delivery, couldn't stop me food guy. And and started posting about like the nearest places to the RVI hospital, and you know, somebody, it might appeal to somebody like knowing where to go around the RVI for like some food. So yeah,
definitely. And I mean, that situation's just so awful and difficult for any family to be in. You know, spending so much time in a hospital full stop isn't a nice environment to be in. But when you're having to stay there every other night and then care for Georgia all day in that environment where you weren't allowed to leave because of how poorly she was, you couldn't even take her outside or off the ward, could you, for most of that time? No. And you know, the sleep is obviously a big thing, because I know you weren't getting much sleep when you're in a bed with a curtain around you on a ward.
And I love sleep.
Young children. And so I think, you know, what you've explained there is just such a balanced approach, because, you know, mentally you had so much going on. There was obviously so much worry, and you're the type of person that liked the life a certain way. You enjoyed what you did, you know, with the social side of things and the new food blog. But you had to accept that you couldn't do all of it, you know, so this is where I think a lot of people struggle with getting healthy, because they go, oh, well, it's like an all or nothing approach, you know, well, I want to lose however many pounds or stone, or, you know, I want to work out 4 times a week, and that's all that will equal being healthy. But health comes in different forms, and for any new parent, you know, for many years, if you have a child who doesn't sleep very well either, there's things that you're not going to be able to fit into your schedule, you know, so it's adjusting, isn't it? And you made that adjustment and said, right, let's focus on fueling ourselves well, because we're not going to be sleeping good. We can't move our bodies very much, and we're in a very stressful situation. So if we can get one thing right to support us, then we're going to feel a bit better than we might have if, like you say, we just live on wine and cereal and you know, really like rubbish food from takeaways, because I know you have a very, very good choice of takeaways. Like, when we talk about takeaways here, it's not like a kebab and chips every day, so it's nice quality food. And
pad thai. I always love
that's
a
your favourite.
Yeah.
So as you're still navigating, obviously working full time, and Georgia being young, and you know, there's still lots going on with her health, still lots of regular checkups and emergency trips back to the hospital. You're very lucky to live so close to the RVI where the children's hospital is. So, you know, for any parent, I don't even think it's just when your kids are young. I know for me now, Lois is 15, it's so much different and easier to balance and juggle parenthood. But when your kids are young, it's harder. So what are some of the practical things you do? I know you've touched on a couple of times, like the meal prep. You've used meal prep, like companies who deliver, don't you, to help at times, but now you're more about prepping yourself and just planning ahead. Are there any tips you've got that you could share?
Yes, I try and do overnight oats at least a few days a week. So that means just like once George is asleep, I can go downstairs, I can make the oats, I pop them in the fridge. That's my breakfast a couple of days a week, sorted.
And do you do that in a batch? So you've got those days all done in one go,
Yeah. And at the minute I'm doing carrot cake oats. So, grated carrot in my oats, but it's so good. So I have those most mornings, or just like a porridge pot with fruit on, just if I need to be quick. And then my lunches, I was up until like this week doing homemade soup, so batch cooking that on a Sunday or Monday morning, like broccoli and bacon most recently, and then that's me lunches all prepped for the week. And then this week I've been doing like air fryer chicken sausages and eggs, because my friend Hazel told us to air fry eggs, and it works really well. So that's like the lunches in one thing. It's really good. 8 minutes, really nice soft boiled egg. And then like teas, like if I'm not obviously eating out, I'll do I just like I enjoy cooking, so I just try and get as much veg in. Like if I'm making a chili, just add extra veg. Like if there's a recipe like I touched on earlier about nasi goreng, like I add in like carrots and cabbage and, you know, like stuff like that you can just pad out a rice dish. And then like Georgia will eat it as well, because she loves rice dishes. So it's just like, if I've got breakfast and lunch sorted, then tea I've got a bit more time, because once I'm in and Georgia's in, we can like do it as one, especially now she's eating a little bit more the same as us. So I think just like, and I always plan my meals on a Sunday when I do my food shop, so I've got my ingredients in for the week, and I think that really helps because it keeps us on track of what I'm eating each day, instead of going like in the morning what we're going to have for tea. Batch cooking chilies and spaghetti bolognese to put in the freezer for those days that you just need to like be quick. And I think it's making, like, obviously I eat out a lot, but it's making sensible decisions when you eat out. Don't always go for the burger and chips. Like, don't always go for a creamy pasta, go for a tomato pasta. Like, it's making those decisions when you're out as well. You know, I do like a pint of beer, but I know that's got a lot more calories in than like a gin and tonic. So it's like just assessing the situation and trying to be like, you know, yeah, I'm eating more calories today, but can there be like sensible calories and like sensible decisions when I eat out? I mean, yeah, I obviously get food envy when Laurie's ordering like this huge burger and chips, but you know, I always enjoy the food I eat, and yeah, I think that's like the best thing I could say is like, it's just making those sensible choices when you do want to eat out.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm all about that. You know, I share a lot on my stories and posts as well about what I have when I'm out eating. This week I've been to London with Lowe's and I've had so many things like ice cream. I've had a couple of glasses of rosé and Aperol Spritz, which I know you like as well. And you know, I don't ever count calories. I just think about the quality of the food I'm putting in and what it is. And like you say, then there's no guilt or remorse or regret, you know, or worry if like, oh, I'm having a treat, I'm having a day off. It's just like I eat what I want because I've learned what food does. And I think that's what you're saying, isn't it? For you, the food that you put in is a huge part of how well you feel. And it sets you up for having the energy for your very busy life. And also working out helps with that, doesn't it? And I can't believe when she shares in our WhatsApp group the alarms that are all set to get up on a morning. I'm like, oh God, I did exercise this morning, but it was at 8 o'clock, not 6 o'clock. I'm not sure I'm a 6 a.m.er, but yeah. And I guess that's it. Like you said, it's only twice a week. But that's because you and Laurie take turns. So he does a couple of early morning workouts.
He does 2 6s and I do 2 6s. So for this 5:30 alarms a week.
But that this is a place you're at in your life right now, isn't it? And it's one that you're adjusting to and go, well, we can do this now like this, but there might be a time when we can go more, or we can go after work, or you know, if work changes, or when George is older and it's less work, you know, when you're doing bath time and meal time and spending time when she's been out all day.
And I think like that's the biggest thing for me is like, I like to exercise in the morning anyway, so I find it really hard to motivate myself to exercise on an evening. So the 6 o'clock, it's tough. I mean, especially in the winter when it's dark. The summer, it's like, it's fine. But because George is so young, she's up early anyway. So by the time I'm home, she's already been up for half an hour. So I have to just think, well, actually, I'd be up at 6:15 anyway if she was up at 6:15, so it's not that much earlier. And I think obviously the older she gets and the more she sleeps in, I will try and do it a bit later, but it fits into the lifestyle now and it gets us like 2 really good workouts a week. And then like you say, like Laurie can get his 2 workouts a week and they're done before the day starts. So hopefully it'll get easier once she gets older.
I'm sure it will, definitely. And I think just something I was thinking there is you're saying about, you know, she would be up anyway. But I suppose people might be listening going, oh, yeah, but how do you actually motivate yourself to work out, especially at that time? Or how do you motivate yourself to plan your meals? Because, that, you know, I hear about this all the time and clients I've had, like the struggle because they just say, I just don't have time. That's the biggest thing that stands in most people's way from getting started to making these healthier changes in their life. So what is it that really motivates you? I know we touched a bit on you used to do it before, so you know what it feels like. Is that something, like what do you think is it that drives you to want to live like this?
Probably a few things. I think one, like me weight, me appearance. You know, I don't want to like be overweight. I want to be able to put clothes on and feel nice. And that's just like in a personal opinion, like, you know, but also like for Georgia, like I want to be healthy for her, and I want to like her to see, you know, I come back from the gym, she goes, "Mummy, are you all sweaty?" And I'm like, "Yeah." "Are you soaking wet?" "Yeah." And I want her to see, like, you know, her and her dad go out and we go to the gym and we eat well and we're prepping. I want her, like, one, I want to like live a healthy life and be around for her, and two, I want her to see those good things in us. I mean, sometimes she goes, "Mummy, is that your Prosecco?" Like Prosecco. I'm like, "Yeah." But she also sees us eating my overnight oats and my, you know, like, you know, she sees like everything of his, and I want her to see that like we live like a healthy lifestyle, and I want her to be able to like see that and be brought up in that way. So a bit about for me and a bit for her, really. So.
Yeah, I love that. And, you know, I'm all about normalising healthy habits. So kids do grow up knowing like how to feel good, and it's through taking care of yourself and valuing yourself. And the best way we can change that is through modelling our behaviour. And, you know this from being at Nike, how much kids' lives are changing because of you know, culture, just games and TV and lifestyle and so on. So there's a big risk to kids being much less mobile and more sedentary, and we've really got to keep showing the way with that. So yeah, that was a really great answer to kind of tie us up very nicely at the end. So as Victoria said, you can connect with her on Instagram. She is the Geordie Food Guide. I'm always looking for inspiration of where I can go out to eat. She just seems to find the most incredible places, and she really is just like evidence of how you can live a very normal life. You know, you can have a very busy life with jobs, your family. Obviously, you know, Georgia's health is a big extra hurdle that you have to navigate as a young family. And you've got this great hobby that gives you so much fulfillment as well. And you find ways to take care of yourself. And that's what I really wanted to get across to people today is, you know, all of our lives are different. There's not one recipe of success. It's about you just working out, like you say, what matters to you. And that's shown Georgia a great example, and you feeling strong and well and confident in yourself, and then finding the right lifestyle to give you those things, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's just finding the balance between, you know, I like eating out, but also, no, you can't eat out every night. Otherwise, you're never going to get the goals. I'm never going to get the goals I want. So it's just, finding that like nice, happy medium balance of still enjoying what I used to do before I had a baby and my body shape changed, and like the lifestyle I had before to the lifestyle I have now, where, you know, Georgia's the most important thing, but also like me and Laurie need to spend time as a couple and go out and enjoy a meal, and, you know, and we were a couple, and I think that's important as well. We were a couple before Georgia, and I think Georgia's obviously our lives, but we have a relationship to keep going as well. So having that time as a couple and going out for a meal, and I really have a lot of really good support in like my sisters and my mum and Laurie's mum, like looking after Georgia, and we're really fortunate that we've got that support, so we can go out and enjoy ourselves. So it's like obviously a network of people for support as well. Yeah,
so that's a really good call out about your relationship, because I have done a podcast episode on that a couple of months or so ago, where we talked about the impact relationships with other people and yourself actually have on your health. But yeah, that's so easily lost for a lot of new parents, isn't it? Or parents with very young children with more than one, because life is so busy and can get in the way. But as you say, that's something that's very important to your overall health and happiness, isn't it? To have a strong relationship and then the community around you as well. So that's a really good shout. Thanks for sharing that. So thank you very much for your time again and chatting today. I hope everyone's enjoyed the story, and check out Victoria's lovely Instagram page, and if you are visit Newcastle, that's where to go for tips to eat out.
Well, thanks for having us on. It was lovely to chat to you.
Great.